Susie, can you understand me? She looked into my eyes. Nervously I sucked my dummy, feeling tears forming in my eyes. Squirming under her gaze I inadvertently pressed the doll's tummy. I am a pretty baby girl, it repeated its words. Oh David, I nearly believed you, Leslie burst out laughing. Ask Susie if she is really David, Susie ordered. And you better answer this time or I will tell Mom you have been naughty, and you know what will happen to you. I whimpered, sucking hard on my dummy. Susie, are you really David? Leslie asked hesitantly, still disbelieving that we had swapped minds. Slowly I nodded my frilly bonneted head, bursting into tears. Oh my gosh. She nodded. She understood me, she is David, Leslie gasped. Yes, Susie simply said, enjoying the look of pure horror in my eyes as I cried. Ha 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 ha, Leslie broke into ribald laughter. Look at him. Crying like the baby he has become. So you like the idea of David being Susie forever, ha 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 ha. Susie laughed too, hugging Leslie once more. No, I don't like it. I love it, she replied, kissing Susie full on the lips. They kissed and petted in front of me, peals of laughter breaking out in between as they looked down at me. I intend to make David act like a real baby 24 hours a day, Les, David informed her. Mom knows and agrees, if he doesn't comply she will have him adopted. Leslie looked down at me, an evil glint in her eye. Okay David, let's see your baby act, gurgle sweetly for us or else you're going to welfare, ha ha ha, she mocked. Gagagu, I gurgled for their amusement. She turned to Susie. Janet, my sister, wants me to babysit Jessica this afternoon. Jessica is 12 months old too, we can put him in with Jessica, she can teach him to behave just like her. She beamed, turning the stroller around. And while the babies play, we can test out Janet's bed. Excellent suggestion, Susie agreed. Whilst we made our way to Janet's house I could hear them talking behind me. I had read the stories and seen the pictures on his computer. It really amused me to think he wanted to be a baby, Leslie said. Mom was disgusted when she found out about them. She wasn't going to treat him like a baby even though he looks like one, I heard my former voice say. Of course I showed her the files, and she agreed that as he wanted to know what it was like to be a baby, then he should be kept like one. Oh, how deliciously cruel, Leslie giggled. But he only has himself to blame. He trapped himself in your baby body. True, and I am grateful he did, Susie replied. And now he is in your baby body, we are going to trap him further into infantility. By the time we have finished with him, acting like a baby will be second nature. He wouldn't be able to take his place back in his old body even if he could, Leslie almost cackled. There is no way he can get his life back, Leslie. Those rings will never see the light of day again, Susie informed her. Poor David, giving away his life for that of a baby's, Leslie remarked, pushing the stroller up the pathway to a house. How precious, ha ha ha. A while later I found myself in a playpen along with Jessica. Jessica was a little bigger than me. She sat looking at me with wide-eyed baby innocence, sucking furtively on her dummy. I sat opposite, a pink pacifier in my mouth, watching Leslie as she set up a camcorder outside the playpen. Anything that Jessica does you are to copy, she instructed me, Susie standing beside her gloating. If she picks up a toy, you pick up a toy, if she crawls, you crawl, if she toddles, you toddle, if she cries, you cry. Do you understand, David? I nodded poutingly. That is the last time you nod or show any sign you understand a question, David. Babies like you cannot understand what we adults say. Babies don't nod or shake their heads, do they? She sneered. I nearly shook my head, but knew I would be in trouble if I did. I asked you a question, David. Babies do not acknowledge adults, do they? She persisted. I continued to look up, resisting the urge to shake my head again. Your life in that baby body started yesterday, Leslie mocked. Your life as a real baby starts now, ha ha ha. She switched the camera on. There is a 4-hour film in here, David, so we will know if you have not followed Jessica's every move, and woe betide you if you do not, she threatened, turning to Susie. "And what shall we do whilst the babies play?" Susie kissed her passionately, hugging her closely. Jessica picked up a baby brick. I did the same, whilst watching my former girlfriend grope my former body. Jessica played with the brick in her hands for a short while, before dropping it to pick up another baby toy. I quickly found out that a real baby had a very short attention span. Jessica flitted from one thing to another. I had to concentrate hard to emulate her, although I was conscious of clothes falling to the floor outside the playpen. Jessica crawled closer to me. She pulled out her pacifier, offering it to me, gurgling babyishly. I did the same, taking Jessica's dummy, putting it into my mouth, copying Jessica's actions. I retched as I tasted the baby spittle on the dummy teat. "Ooh, look at the babies playing nicely." Leslie broke my concentration as she burst into ribald laughter. Both Jessica and I looked up. Jessica gurgled happily. "Copy your teacher, baby Susie," a scantily clad Leslie ordered. "Gagagoo," I gurgled as happily as I could, looking up at my girlfriend in only her bra and panties, Susie down to his shorts. "Fancy having a 12-month-old baby as a teacher," laughed Susie, groping Leslie once more. "Not in front of the babies," Leslie frowned, theatrically slapping Susie's hand away. "Let's leave them to play nicely while we do grown-up things." She grabbed Susie's hand and led the way to the bedroom. I had lost all track of time since I had put myself into Susie's baby body, but after what seemed an age, Jessica finally curled up in a ball to sleep. I was not tired, but I was bored. Playing the part of a baby was hardly mentally stimulating to a once-grown boy. Yet play the part one had to, otherwise end up in the care of complete strangers. The demons in my mind had started again, especially since Jessica had fallen asleep. They constantly reminded me that I had done this to myself. I had no one to blame but me. I tried to blot them out, hating the waves of self-pity that washed over me when they spoke. I could keep them quiet for a little time by continuing to act like Jessica did. I recalled her every movement, then copied it, as best as I could. Suddenly I felt myself being lifted in the air. "Who's a pretty ickle baby then?" Leslie gushed, hugging me to her. She was braless, almost naked except for her panties. "I was watching you for almost 5 minutes, David. If I didn't know you were in there I would have sworn you were a real baby," she chuckled. "And poor ickle you has got to act like that forever, ha ha ha." I sucked sullenly on my dummy, blushing, feeling her fluff out my petticoats as she sat me on her lap. She gave me one of Jessica's rattles. "Here's your rattle babying," she sang. I shook it for her amusement. "Oh, why how sweet, ickle baby waby woves her wattle den doesn't she?" she cooed in mock baby talk. She settled me on her lap. "David, my boyfriend, is asleep in bed. I guess he is worn out from our lovemaking, so we have some time together, baby," Leslie spoke, looking down at me in her arms. "Just think, that should be you up there sleeping. It should have been you that had taken my virginity, but instead here you are in your pretty baby dress and nappies. Has babykins got a wet nappy then?" She went back to using syrupy tones. Her hand pushed back the frilled leg opening of my baby panties. Her fingers invaded my nappy. "Yuck. Baby is wet." "Well, baby can sit in her wet nappy, and I hope it feels horrid." I squirmed. "Can you recall 2 nights ago, when I was sat on your lap, and you had your fingers in my panties?" she reminded me. "What a turnaround in fortune, eh? What was you thinking when you used those rings, David? Didn't you even consider the risk you were taking by swapping minds with Susie?" She shook her head. "Maybe you did, maybe this is what you really wanted. Well, I can tell you I love seeing you like this, knowing that you are in there, trapped forever as a baby girl." She took the rattle from me. Standing, she carried me over to Jessica's baby walker. "Is being a baby all you hoped would be, David?" she asked, dropping me into the baby walker. "Or are you regretting swapping your life as a growing boy for this, being nothing more than a real-life doll, unable to do even the most simple task for yourself?" She loomed above me, encouraging me to use the baby walker like a real baby whilst she filmed me. Once she was satisfied that she had enough film of me in a baby walker, she put me in a baby bouncer that hung from the ceiling. She laughed loudly as I bounced up and down helplessly, my baby-shoed feet just touching the floor before I took off again. Whilst she was laughing at me, Susie joined her, reveling in seeing me in a baby bouncer. "Even I didn't get put in one of those when I was a baby," she remarked. "We will have to get one for baby." They left me bouncing, returning to the bedroom. I was exhausted when we got back home. In fact, I had fallen asleep in my stroller and was only woken when Mother picked me up. "Have you been a good baby girl for you big brother?" she asked. I looked at her blankly. "Babykins cannot respond to you, Mum. She has been told not to acknowledge adult speech," Susie informed her. "That is how it should be," Mother laughed. "Who ever heard of a baby answering a question? So now he cannot communicate at the most basic level, ha ha ha." Susie told Mother about Leslie now knowing who I really was and all the things I had been put through. Mother insisted I show her what I had learnt. So I had to go through my baby act again in my playpen. "He is more babyish than when you were in there, Susie," Mother chuckled. "And woe betide him if he doesn't get more babyish each day. Do you know what I wish?" Susie mused. Mother shook her head. "I wish we had a baby formula that would turn his mind into that of a real baby's. I would love to see the look in his eyes as I fed it to him, knowing with each suck he would become a real infant and there would be nothing he could do to stop it. But then he wouldn't know who he used to be, and we couldn't have our fun reminding him he used to be a boy," Mother pointed out. "True," Susie conceded. "Anyway, after a few years of acting like he is now, I expect he will become a real baby in his mind too, but as we have forbidden him to acknowledge anything we say, we will not know if he is or not, ha ha ha." I continued to perform as Jessica had, unbeknown to her, shown me, ignoring their amused comments as if I could not understand them. I found that by doing this they tired of their sport, leaving me alone to play with my baby toys. However, this did devoid me of adult company, although I was conscious of being under their occasional glance, so I still had to continue my baby act. The only time I was not under their watchful eyes was now as I laid in my cot. However, they had ensured my baby status was still confirmed by dressing me in a pink bunny baby grow. Every part of my body except my face was covered in pink fluffy material, a pair of false bunny rabbit ears flopped around on my head. In devilment, Susie had even painted my nose pink, and drawn pink whiskers on my face. Mother and Susie delighted in my appearance when they put me in my cot and drew up the sides. The room was in semi-darkness now, a baby light glowing in the corner, in case Babykins was scared of the dark, Susie had giggled. Susie pulled up the side of my cot, trapping me in my infant bed. "Do you know what time it is, Babykins?" she smirked. I knew better than to acknowledge the question, choosing instead to look up at her sucking my dummy. "Of course you don't, babies can't tell time, can you?" she giggled. "But if you could, you would know it was only 6 p.m. Such a ridiculously early time to be tucked in bed, isn't it? But all babies are put to bed early, aren't they? And you will be no different. And while you are safe in your pretty pink cot, all us adults will be watching TV or going out or doing anything we please." She turned away laughing. I felt sleep washing over me, my belly was full of sickly sweet baby milk, my thick nighttime nappy already wet. Sucking on my dummy, I felt a tear trickle down my cheek as the realization of what my life was going to be like from now on sunk in. I had trapped myself in a baby's body, they were ensuring I was trapped in infantility. Soon I would emulate a real baby as second nature, the demons in my head laughed as I dozed off. "Welcome to permanent babyhood, David," the voice in my head said.